Hey there, Wolfpack fans. It's me again, Kenton and Grayson, bringing you another episode of Locked On Wolfpack. My main man, Grayson Boone, is in the building, as always, and we have a bounce back game to go over when all seemed like it was, going to be troublesome, going to be problems, going to be a situation where we were going to struggle to find our way and losing games that we probably shouldn't. We found a way to win one. That was very ugly. A knockdown, drag out, no high scoring, leave your offense at home type of game. Are you ready to get into that today, Grayson?
It was a rock fight, but I think we had a few more rocks tonight. A win is a win.
A win is a win. A win is a win, folks. And that's what we're going to hang our hat on in this game. And another thing we're going to hang our hat on is the fact that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/Locked On today to get started. So, folks, we're going to review the win that we just took, a 53-41 win. I believe that was the
51-42.
final score here. 51-42, even lower scoring than I had guessed there. But anyway, 51-42 win over Wake Forest. We're going to get into all of that and more on today's episode of Locked On Wolfpack.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Before I get into this game, before I get into specifics, before I get into details, thank God for Sinai Rivers. Thank God.
I think Wes Moore may be a friend of the pod because he took some advice and had Sinai on the floor tonight. She got the start, and she showed up. She was basically our best player tonight. She played well, and without her, I don't know if we walk out of there with a W.
I mean, oof. It was just tough getting buckets from anybody else at any point in time in this game. But her and Camille Hobby pretty much carried the load with 21 of the team's 51 points. Jada Boyd chipped in 9 points as well, with going 1 for 6 from the field, but 7 of 8 from the free throw line. So, way to have some stick-to-itiveness and kind of just keep going and keep battling down low there. And it's very interesting to look at this game and say to myself, this felt like, for all intents and purposes, we probably should have walked away with a loss here. I mean, we didn't hit a single three-pointer all night. Not one. Which I did not know until I looked at the stat sheet. Like the announcers talked about it, and I'm like, we had to have hit one at some point. And it's just like, oh, what a tough game. But like we always say here, good teams find ways to win. They find ways to beat bad teams. And this team, they found a way to get a win here against Wake Forest. What is something, or the first thing that you took away in watching this game?
Yeah, I mean, like you just mentioned, there's a lot of instances where if we played maybe another team or if a couple bounces go the other way, probably don't come out of there with a win. I mean, coming into this recap blind, if I told you we went 0 for 10 on three-pointers, if I told you that Diamond Johnson finished with 6 points, you're probably like, oh boy, we got blown out, didn't we? Nope, we won. It was, the first half was a lot worse than the second half, which first half was just brutal. Luckily enough for us, it kind of turned into a game of Wake Forest saying, whatever you can do, we can do slightly worse than you. It was bad. Nobody could buy a bucket. It was just horrible turnovers. The shots were rushed. Just bad basketball, unfortunately. But like I said, fortunately enough for us, they played a little bit worse than we did. So we were able to keep our head above water. And then you saw there in the third quarter, we kind of decided that our talent was just going to take us the rest of the way home. And that's kind of what we saw. Ultimately the difference ended up being probably free throw shooting at the very end. Shout out to Jada Boyd, kind of stat padded her line for the night. She finished with 9 points. 7 of those were on free throws, but hey, they were key free throws. So if nothing else, she showed up in that department tonight. So, I mean, again, like you mentioned, credit to Sanaya, credit to Camille. They did show up. They were the two that kind of led the way for us, but just an ugly win.
I'm gonna help you out because you're normally the stat guy, but I got some stats for you in terms of if you would have walked in blind and told me these things, I would have known we got blew out. Number one, we did not hit a single 3-pointer. Number two, Diamond Johnson only had 6 points. Number three, we get out rebounded. Number four, our assist to turnover ratio is 1 to 5.
Oh, yuck. Gross.
If you would have told me that coming into this game and said, Ken, what do you think the final score is going to be? I'd say, well, Wake Forest is probably going to win about 60 to 40. That's probably going to be the score here. Because when I tell you, I'm legitimately flabbergasted. 2 assists up against 10 turnovers. I'm almost at a loss for words a little bit because this is tough to describe. But again, you got the win. And it's always better to go back and watch bad film, to go back and watch ugly tape after a win than a loss. It's always better to watch it and say like, hey, you've got to improve here. Hey, this entry pass has to be here. Hey, this pick has to be set tougher. Hey, you have to, when you get this shot, I need you to knock it down. It's easier to have that conversation. After a win,
Luck didn't have a uniform on tonight, but helped us come out of there with the win.
I'll tell you what, Luck didn't wear a uniform, didn't show up in the building. In the words of, I can't remember who was the first person ever to say this, but if it weren't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. And that's how both of these teams played this game out, but we did enough. We did enough to find a way. We did enough to come up with a win here. So it's a moment where you look up and you say to yourself, we did enough. We did enough. And I don't ever want to see a performance like this again because, as we've already discussed, especially on the offensive end, because, as we already discussed, you don't beat any other team. You don't beat a good team. You don't beat a middle-of-the-road team. You don't beat a decent team. You don't beat a vast majority of tournament teams. Having a 1 to 5 assist to turnover ratio, being out-rebounded by a team that has not been great on the boards all year, by not hitting a single 3-pointer, there's no way you're going to tell me that perimeter defense was that good all game, was that suffocating all game. We lacked player movement. We lacked ball movement. We lacked a lot of things. And it's just, we got the win, but it wasn't pretty.
I'll say this, whose perimeter defense was pretty good tonight was ours. That was a bright spot, I thought. We forced 12 turnovers. We had 9 steals and 4 blocks. Defense was very good, considering Wake Forest kind of really only has one player that was going to be able to beat us, and that was Jules Spear.
Yeah.
If you just take a quick look at the box score, you can see what their game plan was, is let Jules shoot. She shot the ball 24 times. I think the next closest amount of shots that went up by one person was like 8. So very clearly, they were going to let Jewel just win it or lose it for them. And we did a great job defending her. She only hit 5 of those 24 shots. She prides herself on being a great 3-point shooter, which she is, but she only hit 1 of those out of 10. So credit to the defense tonight. I was listening to Wes Moore. They had a quick post-game interview with him after that game. And he said, that was a team win. The defense really showed up. He said he kind of challenged the girls to show up defensively tonight. And he did address their offensive struggles. He's like, listen, I know, if anyone knows as well as anyone else, it's me. I know. He's very well aware of the offensive struggles. He made a good little joke there that he's been avoiding his email because he's been getting a lot of coaches in his email, per se, people telling him how to run the team. So listen, he gets it. Anyone who's watching this team right now can see it. They're struggling, but overall, the message from Wes there is stick with us. We're fighting. We're trying to figure this out. We figured it out enough tonight to leave with the win. And so for tonight, that's really all that matters. We're leaving with the win. On to the next one.
And some people are going to look at me and say, Ken, you're too doom and gloom. You didn't say anything positive about the Wolfpack. So I'll say this. I'll say this very positively about the Wolfpack. Outside of Joel Spear, their starters went 4 of 21 combined. We did something right. Like you said, the defensive intensity was there. We were like a pack of Badgers defensively. It's just it didn't turn into enough turnovers and fast break points. And even when we did get turnovers and fast break points in the half court, we couldn't, like, it was just bad. It was just really bad. And actually, on the break, we weren't that great either. But again, if you force a team starters outside of their star player to go 4 of 21, you'll end up in a good position. You'll end up in a spot where you can likely get yourself a win. And that's all that matters here. And speaking of wins, this year, the only app you'll need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the #1 sports book in America. And trust me, if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. Download FanDuel now so you can bet on Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back. $3,000 now back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line, the point spreads, to who will score a touchdown. You name it, they've got it. So make sure that you use the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. And best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. Join FanDuel.com/locked-on to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So, in talking about moving on from this game, okay, the next game that we got is on the road against against a Virginia team, because Virginia women's basketball has been looking a lot like Louisville's men's basketball coming down the stretch here. This is a Virginia team they're on a little bit of a losing streak. They've had a very tough go at it, and they started off the season hot. They kind of climbed out of the dweller or the basement of the conference to end up at least competitive. They lost a close game to Louisville tonight, in which Louisville had to pull off a pretty good comeback to get them. But with that being said, this is a women's basketball team that, again, they're on a definitive losing streak that we need to be able to take advantage of. What do you think of this game coming up?
Yeah, the first time we played UVA, we kind of put it on them. We didn't mess around. We got straight to the point. We went out. We said our talent is better than yours, and we proved it for the whole game.
Yep.
If we play anything like we played tonight, it's not going to cut it, especially on the road. It doesn't matter that you've already seen this UVA team. You can't get comfortable in knowing that you have already beat them before pretty handily. It's not going to be that way again. You still got to show up. You got to get off the bus. Real quick, I do want to talk about Jada Boyd and Jakia Brown-Turner tonight. They've been struggling of late, and, their stat lines tonight were still not very good. But that being said, I saw more effort just in general. I saw more want to from the two of them tonight. It didn't translate per se in terms of points and rebounds and, the numbers, but I saw the effort tonight. If you can bottle that up and take that up to Charlottesville, you might have something there. You gotta keep it moving one way or another. No two ways around it. We're struggling right now. We're absolutely struggling, but you can't stop fighting. And that's the kind of effort we're going to have against UVA.
This is a UVA team that, in their, like I said, a 7-game losing streak so far. And beyond that, in their last, I want to say 10, they're 1-9, last 11, 1-10. This is a team that is going through a very, very tough time. If you look at the games that they're losing and how they're losing them, a vast majority of these losses have come by double digits, including this last one against Louisville. So with that being said, this is a game that, Virginia's going to get up for. The old saying, an animal leaves highest when it is wounded. This is a very wounded Virginia team that has a lot of reason to strike out in their whiteout game. This is a moment where, like you said, we cannot perform again like we did on the offensive end, at least, like we did tonight, because that'll be a recipe for disaster, a recipe for an L, a recipe for just a very bad time had by
Yeah,
all.
and look, I mean, a team that's in a free fall like UVA is right now, it kind of makes them dangerous in a sense because we're a team that's struggling at the moment. So if there was ever opportunity for a get right game for UVA, it could be us. And so we need to be very cognizant of that they're looking for a win maybe just as bad as we are. We're trying to stay afloat. They're trying to break their, whatever kind of spell they're under at the moment. So we got to make sure that we do not hand them what they're looking for.
And then looking at this game, I'm going to say the same thing that I always say that people are probably tired of hearing me say, but I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. You have to start fast and do not allow this team to get confident. The biggest thing that comes with losing streaks is the expectation of losing. That's the biggest thing that comes with it. There's a feeling where it's like they're waiting on the game to turn on its head. But the longer you let a team stick around, the more they start to get that feeling of, why can't we win this game? Why not? What's so wrong with us that we can't win this one basketball game? That only happens when you allow them to hang around. Like I said against Georgia Tech, that's a bad team. We cannot let them get hope. What did we do? We went out there and lost the first quarter 23-16 or 18, one of those two. Well, guess what? They walked out of that first quarter saying, they ain't so tough. They ain't so bad. They're not anything that we should be afraid of. When you come in and you say, hey, it's good to be in your house. Thank you for the hospitality. I'm going to kick your teeth in. And then we can discuss the terms of whether or not I want the AC set to 73 or 68. Doesn't matter what you want. It's about what I want here, even though I'm in your house. When you set that tone early, when you bully them early, you get them out the way because they're already in that mindset of, oh, here goes loss number 8. All right. But when you let them stick around, when you let them take the lead, all that good stuff, you'll end up with the same thing you got against Georgia Tech.
Some recommendation I would have moving forward is I liked what I saw, starting Sanaya tonight. You and I have talked about her basically all season so far, but I don't know how she didn't start sooner because you could tell the immediate impact tonight. Just her presence there is just, it feels different. She needs to be out there offensively, defensively, getting up and down the floor. She's got to be out there. Like, especially on a night like tonight where Diamond Johnson just doesn't have it. Who knows where we would have been if we didn't have Sanaya out there to start, because it could have been a whole lot worse. If we would have let them get out ahead of us this evening, if Wake Forest gets a little confidence, if their 3-point shooter, if she doesn't have Sanaya in her face and she hits a couple of them, might have been a whole different story. So
Absolutely.
Moving forward, ride Sanaya. She can do it. She's built for this. We've seen her talent level and her potential talent level moving forward. I think you got to put more emphasis on Sanaya moving forward. Start
Absolutely.
this weekend.
And she did an amazing job on Jewel Spear. I mean, they said let Jewel cook, and Sanaya said that woman gonna burn down the house trying to make some grits. This ain't what you want. This is not.
Jewel was making some ramen in the microwave tonight.
Oh, nasty work. Very nasty work. I'll tell you what. This is just a tough thing to see. But again, it wasn't just her missing shots. Like, again, when we played Louisville earlier this year, it was a very similar situation to that with Haley Van Lith, where, yes, she is missing some that she normally hits, but also we did a great job. We forced her into spots where she's uncomfortable. We forced her to take tougher shots, and that's what happened here with Jewel. So we'll get into the predictions for this game after a quick word from our sponsors. And we're back. We're about to land this thing. Going up to UVA for the whiteout game. I believe it's this Sunday. Am I correct there? Is it
Sunday? Yep, that's right.
Okay, this Sunday, whiteout game in Charlottesville. What do you think will happen in this game? Give us your prediction.
I think, kind of the theme of what we just saw there in the second half against Wake Forest it was kind of just a game of our talent was saying, we're better, we're the better team, and we're not leaving here without a W. I think that's going to be the ultimate feel up in Charlottesville this Sunday. I think, well, at least I hope we're going to show up. You know, I'm still looking for a bigger kind of performance from Jada Boyd. We're still kind of, I mean, unfortunately, we've been kind of waiting all year for Jakia Brown-Turner to get going. Better late than never, as they say. It's going to have to be another team victory. You know, if we're struggling, it's going to be all hands on deck. But I think we do get the win. I'm going to go with some 73-60, 13-point W.
You know, I'm a firm believer in the law of averages. For example, if you have a day where you walk in the gym and you can't miss, you're playing pickup and you can't miss, and you're just the hottest thing, you know, you're hottest fisheries. Everything that you throw up goes down. But you know, normally you're not that guy. Like, that's not you. You're not the guy that if y'all are playing 21, you're dropping 12 of the points. If you know that that's not, or not 21, if you're playing teams up to 21, because obviously in 21 you're shooting for yourself. But anyway, if you're, you know, playing teams and you're that guy, you're going to get bought back down to what your average is over the next couple of days. This team, this was not their lowest scoring game of the season. Their lowest scoring game of the season was 47 in Carmichael against UNC. With that being said, they scored 71 points the game after that. I'm predicting another bounce back game offensively with the defensive intensity match. I'm going to go 71-51. I think that we roll here. I think that this is a game where we come out early, do what we need to do. Our shooters are striping. Sanaya stays in the starting lineup and does her thing. Diamond gets back on track. And we may even get a Jakia Brown-Turner and Jada Boyd sighting, but Camille Hobby will do what she does as well. So I think we have a pretty good thing going on.
I think, you know, a general rule of life is not to kick people when they're down. However, I think we should kick UVA while they're down on Sunday. I think, you know, if they're going to be in a free fall, we should kind of, you know, look at them as they fall past us and let them be them. You know, they're looking for a get right game. We can't afford to give them a get right game. Absolutely. We can't afford any more bad losses. This would be another one of those. Just go up there and take care of business. I say this a lot, but that's really all there is to it. We are a better team. We need the win. UVA is very much struggling at the moment. Just go win. Just win.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, sometimes that's all you got to do. Be who you are. Be who you are and trust that other team to be who they are and that you're better than them. And that's just the reality. Thank y'all so very much for coming out, Wolfpack Nation. We appreciate you every single time. Y'all make this show what it is. Peace and love, y'all. And as always, go Pack.
Go Pack.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.